I think Minecraft is too easy. Loading into a new world for the first time, you're faced with millions of blocks in front of you and infinite ideas on things you can build. So I thought, why not make it harder by removing every block but one? I actually tried this months ago and drastically failed. So, round 2? Okay, it looks like we're doing this again. Round 2 is I just start straight away. Now, obviously, we've skipped a little bit right here at the very beginning. Sue me, I'm lazy. But it starts how every Let's Play starts. Us getting some materials and also killing 2 pigs, but it's fine. They deserved it. This was going to be a long process to see if I can survive longer than I did last time, because last time I failed miserably. But that's okay, because after a little while, we managed to get some food. And by food, I mean animals, which we could then reproduce and then remove them from the server. When they started to get a little bit much, I managed to lock them in. And hopefully, we'd have no escapees later down the line. This challenge, though, was seeming to be more difficult than I thought. Obviously, I spend about 8 or 9 hours just sat here looking straight at this block, mining through every single stage. I was getting some good resources. I had a good food supply, I had animals, but I slowly realized I probably shouldn't have made the animal farm like this. It was already going to cause problems, so it got to the point where if I got an animal, I'd just kill it. I know what you're thinking, not very environmentally friendly, but it's fine. If I don't show it, then it never actually happened. God, I'm just a genius amongst men. But this challenge was going to be insanely difficult. Like I said, long periods of time staring at this block, not knowing what resources I'm going to get. And that's why this is one of the most difficult challenges for a regular player like myself. Obviously, if you're fantastic at the game, you can crush this out, no problem. But for me, this was going to prove to be difficult. The only thing I wanted at this point was cobblestone. I was once again having to make myself wooden tools to get by, and it really was not fun. I've never missed diamond pickaxes more than at this point. And just like that, with a quick jump cut, I'd actually got my first pieces of cobblestone. And you know what I was doing? Straight away to the crafting table, making myself some sticks, and I replaced all of my wooden tools with stone, and I've never felt better about myself. Because the stage had actually upgraded, that meant that I had a higher chance of now getting iron, which meant iron tools and things like that were going to come so much easier. And speaking of things coming easier, I also managed to get myself a mushroom, which meant I had infinite food, as with a bowl, I could get infinite mushroom soup, and I could just be a vegan for the rest of my life. I'd never have to kill the animals again. Nobody would yell at me in the comments. It would be beautiful. That's if everything went to plan, which it doesn't. Fine though, we just keep on believing, just keep on mining the block, and just hope for the best. Soon enough though, I was facing my first issues, and that was mobs. No, not the variety of animals that were now just sat around my house, but the zombies, the skeletons, the creepers. Apart from everything escaping, I was having quite a nice time, but my platform was way too small right now, and without it being expanded, I'd probably end up dying in the next 10 minutes or so. All of the memories from doing this before suddenly started flowing back to me. And if you know anything about me, my memory is awful, but I knew that I needed a tree farm. My resources weren't going to last forever. I wasn't always going to get wood from this block, and it may be 2 or 3 stages where I just don't get anything. And yeah, I had my 2 big oak trees, but what I needed was a little tree farm. It took the majority of the wood that I had left to actually create this thing. It was only a few pieces of dirt. That wasn't the only issue though. My mobs were slowly falling off the edge. I hadn't secured them properly, and stupidly, I probably wasn't going to fix it either. But for now, we can just focus on the positives. I have a tree farm. This is more progress than I've made in my entire life. Please just be nice to me in the comments. Just write something nice. The design for this thing was absolutely awful, but it gave me the opportunity to change it later, which, don't worry, I definitely didn't forget. And with the tree farm done, I was ready to move on to the next task. And just like that, here we are. A little bit later down the line with 3 iron ore, which meant I could finally make myself an iron pickaxe. Looking back, probably should have made an axe, but it's too late now. I'm voiceovering this. You're gonna have to deal with what you got. While I waited for the iron to smelt, I tabbed out. Still have my OBS on the other screen though. I was able to notice our fatal casualty. Barry the bunny has gone. I'm not gonna lie, this did make me laugh, but I feel like for the purpose of it, we should be sad. So let's just be sad. Iron pickaxe. We're making progress. That's the important thing. Because I'm the most organized person in the world, I really thought that I should make myself a small little storage room. Now, I vastly underestimated how many different items you get doing this challenge, as I thought it would just be a few. So I knew the best thing to do was to make myself a small storage hut with what I had. I decided after keeping the platform a wood theme that I should kind of go with like a cobblestone and andesite. I was really limited for resources. I had no idea what to do. And honestly, not having a variety of blocks to build with is really not fun. After a while too, I managed to get my first spruce tree, which is fantastic because oak wood is awful. Spruce is the best. If you say anything else, you are wrong. I can guarantee there's going to be someone in the comments that likes birch or like acacia. Jesus Christ. Do better, okay? If you like birch, do better. Now on with spruce wood. I had an idea for a building in mind. It was just going to take me another 10 years to probably finish this, especially with the resources. Everything I used, I then had to mine back from the block, and it would just take even longer. It was like a 9-hour process. I mean, it wasn't 9 hours, but we're getting dramatic effect for the story. And just like that, I was back on the block for more resources. Building the storage room was really tedious because every time I ran out of like andesite or cobblestone, I had to go straight back into it. And that's when the Fire Nation attacked. I don't know if any of you are too young for that reference, but I'm sorry. After getting terrified by a creeper, I really didn't know what to do, especially after it, you know, blew up and made everything fall into the void. I kind of stared. It took me a while. Had to take it in. I was already annoyed at this point. Everything I just worked for had kind of slowly gone down the drain just because I didn't move it into the storage room earlier. So if anyone ever says, hey, this guy looks smart, we should watch him, please never call me smart in my life. I'm the dumbest individual in the world. If I'd moved it all earlier, I wouldn't have had this problem. If I wasn't playing this, I also wouldn't have this problem. But content is content. So after moving everything back, I decided to repair the block. Especially now with everything out of the way, if I did have another run-in with mobs, I probably would be fine. I still had the same quest in mind of upgrading the block. My goal was to get through the Stone Age to whatever came next, and to be honest, I was terrified. I realized with the iron, I probably should have made armor first. Making iron tools seemed a little bit stupid, especially when things were coming at me left, right, and center to kill me. It's a mistake that will haunt me for the rest of my life, and that I will live with. Another creeper did spawn. Luckily, though, I managed to get rid of that one. It's like I'm improving as the series goes on. After a little bit of mining, though, the block upgraded. I got my benevolent gift, which is what you get just before it upgrades, and I had to wait 30 seconds. These 30 seconds were the longest of my life. But before you knew it, I had upgraded into the ocean. Now, just a thing about me, I'm terrified of the ocean. So this came at a perfect time of probably like 3 a.m. of recording this. It's like all the fears of watching Jaws are just come back to haunt me. The only interesting thing that happened of late was the fact that from one of the chests, I got a map, which meant after taking a little right click of my house, I was able to track the progress with the map, and it looked perfect. I thought I'd spend a little bit of time organizing my chests, and by a little bit of time, I mean the 3 seconds that you're watching. I completely gave up after that. I also decided it was probably a good time to get myself full iron tool. I was having to use my axe and pickaxe for everything, and I still was using a wooden sword, so I sat and I waited to smelt my 7 cobblestone. I realized I said cobblestone, I meant iron. This was the longest wait of my life, but after a little bit of time, I had it, I had my iron tools, and I was straight back to the demon. A little bit of a time jump again, but after a little bit of time, my storeroom was finished. I like to call it the Hobbit hut. It had about 10 chests, everything was overfilled, nothing was organized, and it was absolutely tiny, but I loved it. I made myself some iron pants, and then I realized I had no food supply left. With the animals being able to get out of the cage and subsequently jump off the edge of the void, I realized that I had nothing left. I had no mushrooms for infinite food. I had no cows. I had no chickens. I had literally nothing. It's almost like this is the perfect cutaway to the next segment. It's a fantastic process. After deliberating a little bit for what I should do, I decided my next task should be a really, really big platform. I had spent some time doing little quality of life updates, you know, putting some spruce slabs in it, trying to make it look, you know, different and funky. Didn't work. It looked awful. But I decided this big platform should be a farm. Now, I'm going to tell you why, because it's an absolute genius reason. I was running out of food. That's all I've got. From killing the zombies earlier, I'd actually managed to get myself 1 carrot and 1 potato. Now, I promise you, this wasn't scripted or rigged in any way. It just perfectly played out how I needed it. At this point, though, I only had 1 bucket of water, which meant I had a limited supply of what I could actually, like, get from the food. I'm trying to think of the word. I can't think of the word. With 4 blocks in each direction, I was actually going to be able to get a lot of food from this, and this was going to supply me probably till the end of this video. I was really getting bored of having to use oak slabs for everything that I built with, but this comes with the challenge. The challenge itself is, to me, impossible. Not impossible. People have completed it. You know, I've seen it before, but to me, it's so difficult because you don't know what's around the corner. And that's what I like portraying with this video, is the fact that you have no idea what's coming. Whether it's a creeper about to blow you up, whether it's you running out of oak slabs and having to sit by a tree. It's a much longer process than vanilla Minecraft. People have completed vanilla Minecraft in 19 minutes. If I was to do it, I'd say about 4 hours. This is all a learning curve. That's what these videos are, and these faster paced, shorter videos are something I really want to do more of in the future. So if you do like it, make sure you join my Discord. It's in the link below, and I really want to broaden my horizons, get more of you involved in videos, and if you want to join, that's the best place to do it. And after a lot of deliberation about how big it should be and the farm size and everything like that, it was finally completed. I had 1 potato and 1 carrot and a dream. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but I sure as hell was excited. Now that it was finished, I was able to sit and upgrade my block, and soon enough, I got my last benevolent gift. Luckily from this, I actually got 1 piece of ice, which meant I now had infinite water. I was so happy for this process that I got ready to put down an infinite water pool, which meant all of my troubles will be sorted. I was so happy as I placed down the ice and broke it, only for nothing to happen. And with that, I was still at 1 water bucket. With the misery out of my mind, I set off to the next task. What I wanted to do, very, very simple, replace all of the oak with spruce. Now, I had infinite spruce because of the saplings. It's just, I didn't realize how long this would take and how much I'd actually built. I literally went through and replaced every stair, every slab, every block, everything with spruce. and it took about 10 years. I'm not going to bore you with the footage. I'm just going to show you a picture of maybe like a green parrot. You know, it's an inside joke. If you're one of the few people that get it, thank you very much. If not, then I'll see you in a second. Back it was to normal mining until, oh my god, it's a huge fish. I screamed at this point. I'm so glad you couldn't hear my mic. All I did was just wait, and eventually it flopped right off the edge with its ancestors, and I got back to mining. What I wanted to do is leave this in just for a little bit, just to show you the process behind this. It's a very difficult challenge, like I've said a million times now, purely for the fact if you don't know what's coming next. You could die by mobs, you could fall off the edge, you don't know what's going to happen at any given moment, you don't know if that piece of cobblestone is your last one. Obviously it's not, because otherwise the mod pack would be severely like not allowed in the community and everyone would be outraged, but it's the process behind it, you know? I think it was more the lack of knowledge that was scaring me in this process, and the fact that every time I broke a pickaxe or broke an axe, I didn't know if I had any iron to get another one. Luckily in this case I did. I decided what I needed next was an easier way to get resources. Obviously the things that I need most: bone meal, maybe some gunpowder for TNT, or fireworks depending if I get an elytra. And all of this was going to be possible thanks to a mob spawner. Now the last time I did this, I did actually have to watch a tutorial. This time I just kind of winged it and it worked out for the better. I had no idea what kind of size I was going for. I just really needed the resources. The bone meal would be absolutely fantastic. It was exactly what I needed at this point, so I set my mind to it and I got going. The only issue I had was resources were running low. The wood farm you obviously have to do manually. There's no automation with this wood farm. Obviously I could have done it, but I would have had to wait for redstone and then everything else that I would have needed, and it would have taken so much more time. And it's not even guaranteed. I could die way before that. It was taking years at this point to get what I needed, but I knew eventually the automation would pay off. So with the idea of making a mob spawner in mind, on my own, can I just add, unsupervised, off I set to the task. After needing more resources, I was back to the spruce farm. This was working perfectly. Obviously it took a bit longer. It was kind of deviating me away from my task, but good things come to those who wait. I'm such a cliche. After all the trees were collected, I saw a phenomenon. I wasn't alone anymore. I had come across a wandering villager and his 2 merry llamas. I was so happy to see another face that I ran straight up to him. I checked his trades. He had nothing I needed, so I sacrificed him to the void. With an amount of resources that I thought would get me to the end of this mob spawner, I set off back to work. I slowly realized, though, this was going to take a lot more time than I thought, and honestly, a lot more wood than I originally thought. I originally had everything planned out into stacks so I could evenly do it, keep organized, and then I ruined it in the first 3 seconds. Much like in JamieRaven fashion, though, I managed to find a way around it eventually. It was a lot of just building up, building down, building up, building down. Honestly, I was terrified, but the payoff was going to be so worth. The bone meal that I'd get and the gunpowder that I'd get from this could honestly set me up for so long. And also the string and the spiderites when it came to potion. I was really happy with myself though, because I made a few good water bucket clutches that I thought I'd be proud of. I've secretly been practicing. That's why I haven't uploaded for 2 months. It's not that. I just suck at this. I just want to take this time to say, if you aren't subscribed to the channel, if that subscribe button is red, feel free to turn it gray, turn on notifications. I promise I'm going to start uploading more than just once every 2 months. I'm hoping every few weeks. I'm just buying time for when this finishes. I'll tell you what, we'll just do a cutaway. It's what I'm good at. I could just edit this. I forgot. After about 93 years, it was almost finished. My chance for infinite resources was almost upon us. I was about to say among us, but then that would have been sus. It had taken so much more resources than I originally had. It was a lot of going back down, redoing the spruce trees, going back up and placing it, and just repeating that for what felt like an eternity at this point. But the important thing is, infinite resources, they were almost upon us. I didn't do it that time. And after realizing when I finished the roof that I had no way down, I made one of the best clutches I think I've ever made in my life. Honestly, I felt like Dream doing this. I posted it in a short, easy 10 million views. I'm not going to do that though, just, you know, my ego's too high as it is. Just like that, we were ready. Infinite resources, tick. I decided the best thing to do was to go back to grinding the block. That's until I got attacked by something called a monster party. There was no party involved. I had a party hat. I had everything else ready. You know, I had sausage rolls. I had all the food. No one turned up. It was just an angry fish. I spent a while, some may call it cowering. I call it planning a strategy round the corner until I went in for the attack. And after realizing how much damage they did, I decided to do what us Englishmen do best. I know what you're thinking. Is it fighting? Is it doing anything else? No, I hid and I waited for them to go away. And after a long enough time, they did. Who knew being English would finally pay off? But after some more time grinding the block, I found my next adversary. I know what you're thinking. Was it a creeper? Was it anything else? It was a pufferfish. I almost died to a pufferfish. I don't want to hear anything about it. We'll just move on at this point. I realized after some time that I hadn't actually put my map down. So that's the first thing I did. For collecting some iron that I'd actually been smelting, I was looking around my chest to see if I had anything else, and because my chest was so organized, I found what I needed basically instantly. While that was going, I decided the best thing to do was grind my mob spawner. I'd spent so much time on it and my levels were flying up. And so were the resources. I had bones, I had gunpowder, I had string, I had everything that I needed to make this a success. And that's when everything went downhill and nothing was therefore a success. I don't want to mention how embarrassed this made me feel. But as a creeper dropped, it managed to explode, which then exploded another creeper, leaving me on 1.5 hearts. I had no idea what to do, so I just retreated. There was no way I was letting this end a second time the exact same way as the first. But with half a heart and the ability to fix it almost in the clutch of my hands, I was almost there. I had replaced every block. I had clutched. I had done everything that I needed to. Until, instead of hitting a spider, I hit an enderman. So basically, it's not the same as last time, and I'm still annoyed.